Welcome to Belgrade's Western Gate. Made it off the bus now, up in New Belgrade, and we're walking through the blockovi, the blocks that I might have mentioned in another video. Because each block, and I've seen this so far already as I've been walking towards the Genex Tower, are like self-sufficient communities unto themselves. And it's cool to see community spirit, you know. Not only was it the tallest building in Belgrade, it was actually the tallest building in the Balkans. Belgrade's Western Gate. And it literally is a gate, guys. Look at that. Massive monolithic brutalist gate. It's just its own sort of little thriving community. It'd be so cool to get up to the top of that. Good morning from a fresh Belgrade spring morning. So today we're going to try and take the bus number 65 over to Genex Tower over in New Belgrade, also known as Belgrade's Western Gate. Quite an iconic tower on the skyline in Belgrade, famous for being for its brutalist sort of architecture and its dystopian look. If you don't know what tower I mean, if you haven't been able to tell by the thumbnail of this video, then you know, I just guarantee that you would know straight away what tower it is as soon as you see it. It's like two towers connected by a bridge, and then there's like a circular, like UFO looking thing at the top of one of them. So that's the plan. Let's see if we can catch number 65 and get on the right bus. So that's the number 16 that's just passed. We're looking for the 65 over to New Belgrade, because we confirmed yesterday that public transport in Belgrade recently has been made free. So we just hop on the bus, we don't have to buy a ticket. Yeah, apparently that's free for anybody and everybody in Belgrade. That's one of the many bonuses that I've seen in Belgrade so far. Apparently that wasn't always the case. I think that's just a thing that's happened in recent times, I was told. So if you come to Belgrade, don't worry about buying any ticket apps or any tickets or validating anything. Apparently you can just hop on. You don't even have to speak to the driver. Obviously you can say good morning if you want, but otherwise just grab a seat. So let's wait for the 65. So far buses have been quite regular, quite efficient so far, on time. Looks quite busy. So the 65 should be the next one. made it off the bus now, up in New Belgrade, and we're walking through the Blockovi, the blocks that I might have mentioned in another video. I still can't figure out the numbering system, because I think on my right side is block 2, and over there on the left side is block 1. So I can't actually figure out if there's any pattern to it. So maybe someone can tell me in the comments, was there any particular pattern or any particular reason for any of the numbering system for these blocks? So after the Second World War in 1945, you know, Belgrade had sustained very heavy damage during the Second World War. So after the Second World War ended, there was high demand for housing, cost-effective housing. So these blocks were part of a massive redevelopment and housing project, and you know, they obviously being in the brutalist style, being very cost-effective to build high-density housing. You know, these sort of buildings, this sort of architectural style, popped up post-war period all over Europe, back in Britain as well. In particular, my home city has a few Brutalist tower blocks as well, because each block, and I've seen this so far already as I've been walking towards the Genex Tower, I can see it in the distance. We're not too far now, but as we're passing each of these blocks, it's almost like each of the blocks are like self-sufficient communities unto themselves. Like I just passed one just now. I think that might have been block 1 I just passed. It had like shops, had grocery store, had little shops and little markets and things, and even somehow like playgrounds and schools and things like that. So I think, if not all, I think some of these blocks have their own sort of community areas, you know. It's fascinating. And it's cool to see community spirit, you know. So as we walk towards Genex Tower, I was reading up a bit about it on the bus, and at one point, not only was it the tallest building in Belgrade, it was actually the tallest building in the Balkans, I believe, up until the early to mid-90s. One side, I believe, used to be like an office block, if my research is correct, and the other side a residential area, or residential block. I think that one of them is still a residential block, perhaps the smaller one of the two towers. We'll see it in just a minute here. We're getting a better view as we walk towards it. And at the top was a circular sort of structure, and I believe that that was a restaurant at one time. It looks kind of like a UFO. I don't think it's open to the public, unfortunately, otherwise it would have been cool to get up it. But yeah, iconic for Belgrade's skyline, and iconic among brutalist architecture. It's got such a sci-fi dystopian look to it. Looks like something you would see in like Cyberpunk or, you know, Star Wars or something. I'm surprised that they haven't used it as a filming location, at least as far as I know. Perhaps it has been. But yeah, as we edge ever closer to it, the sheer size of it is just beginning to dawn on me. It does not look as big as this in the photos, that's for sure. There is Genex Tower. I believe it was built 1977, and there's a total of 36 floors. And you can see there it's connected, both towers are connected by a bridge. So there's 2 stories on it by the looks of it. And at the top of the right tower there, the smaller one, you've got joined onto it like a circular, I guess that's maybe a stairwell or like an elevator shaft or something. Zepter. I'm not sure, Zepter. I've seen Zepter signs a few places, so I'm just wondering, maybe someone can tell me if Zepter is like must be a company or a brand or product. I've seen Zepter signs a few places in Belgrade, but I'm not entirely sure what it belongs to, so maybe someone can let me know about that. But honestly guys, like the camera's probably not doing this justice, but it is something bigger than I was expecting, that's for sure. Apparently, I was just reading there, it was the tallest building in Belgrade and Serbia for 42 years, up until 2021, when it was overtaken by West 65 Tower in another area of Belgrade. I have seen some YouTube videos of like urban explorers and risk takers trying to get up to the top of it, to the closed area at the top, like the restaurant part. I keep calling it a restaurant, I'm not sure if it was, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that it was a restaurant at the top. I don't know if it ever revolved or if it ever rotated, but pretty cool. I think I have seen also images of one of these towers being lit up with the, maybe not lit up, but it had the like the Serbian flag draped down it, but it looks like they've replaced it with some advertisements. I guess that building on the right must not be used. I guess that must have been the office block at one time, because it would suck to have a window covered by that massive banner. So yeah, that makes sense. That must have been the office block, and the one on the left must be the residential area, which is still in use by the looks of things. But yeah, I guess that one on the right is totally derelict. Again, I might be mistaken. If I am, if you're from Belgrade and you know for certain, then let me know. But it would suck to have to wake up in the morning in darkness covered by that banner. It'd be so cool to get up to the top of that, like to the circular structure at the top. Imagine the view of the Belgrade skyline, that'd be so cool. Anyway, we're going to cross the road here and we're going to try and get a closer look, trying to maybe walk between it. Famous Belgrade's Western Gate, and it literally is a gate, guys. Look at that massive monolithic brutalist gate. And over on the other side of Belgrade, the eastern side, there is Belgrade Eastern Gate as well, the Three Sisters, I believe it's called. Three brutalist sort of tower blocks that sort of in triangular shapes, I believe, in a circle, all sort of leading to the top point. But that one's a bit too far for me to go to, otherwise I would love to have seen that as well. Anyway, let's get across this road and check out Belgrade's Western Gate up close. In fact, I just realized this is the same motorway that I took in from the Belgrade Nikola Tesla Airport. So if you're coming in from the airport, you'll no doubt come into Belgrade from this area, from this direction. And if you're coming in at night like I did, then you will no doubt see this iconic tower. I was so excited to see it. Call me a nerd, guys, believe it or not. But I was so excited to see this as we were coming in. I said to the taxi driver, oh, Genex Tower, Genex Tower. And he was like, yes, Genex Tower. Pretty cool. If you're into your architecture, in particular, if you're fascinated by brutalist architecture, and you just can't help but look at it despite its like very divisive look and divisive style, then you'll love to visit this place. It is something else. In fact, this entire area of New Belgrade that I'm in is just surrounded by brutalist architecture. That building straight over there, I'm not sure what that is, but that looks like it's the brutalist style as well. We've got tower blocks here. That's maybe one of the blockovi. And then there may be I think that might be the coat of arms for the city of Belgrade. I'm not sure. Looks like it. So yeah, just looking at a map again, those tower blocks over there, that's block 37. And then we come down to block 38. To be honest with you, the blocks in this area in New Belgrade seem to make more of a like common sense in terms of their numbering system, but some of the videos I've seen are further down New Belgrade, down beside block 44 and 77. You've got like block 44 right adjacent to block 77, so it seems like the numbering system further down, unless I've missed something, is a wee bit more mixed up, but up here seems a wee bit more logical. As I mentioned before, you know, Belgrade, I was never sure what to expect. It's always struck me as like an edgy city. Certainly recent weeks with demonstrations going on, I wasn't sure what to expect coming here at this time, but honestly guys, Belgrade just keeps on surprising me. And no doubt it'll surprise you as well if you choose to come here, which I think you should, because it's got a lot to offer. History, architecture, food, nice to drink. And certainly the locals that I've spoken to have all seemed friendly enough. And very proud people of their country, and they like telling you about it, and I like hearing about it because I find it very interesting. So yeah, this one's definitely derelict, because you can see there's windows open, there's like curtains and blinds hanging out the windows. It doesn't look like that one's been it doesn't look like that revolving door's been used in many years. I'm not actually sure when this building, the one on the right, stopped being used. I'll have to look that up just now and I'll get back to you. Looks like there's a bit of a photo shoot going on over here. This would be a cool area for like shooting an album cover or maybe shooting any kind of cover, because this looks like, honestly looks like we've just stepped off the bus into some like something from Fallout. Certainly this part. Again, that's not a slight against anyone who lives here, of course not, but just the enormity of this structure and the look of it and just the oppressive nature of it just looks like it's something from out of a video game or a movie, from some like apocalypse or something. It's just, for me, brutalism is one of those architectural styles. I don't necessarily like it, but I do appreciate it. You know, it was a choice. It's definitely a choice, and it's what it invokes in you and what it conjures up in you when you look at it. And I just can't help but feel, as with most people who look at brutalism, just feel it's got such an oppressive and depressing look. This building would have been like cutting edge, like ultra modern, and would have been looked at as like a symbol, which I guess it still is looked at as a symbol for Belgrade. You know, it's iconic for Belgrade's skyline. Certainly when I typed in Belgrade on Google, Belgrade architecture, buildings, this was one of the first images that came up, so it certainly still retains that iconic image for the city. Yeah, I just see yeah, I'm seeing people coming out the entrance just now, so I guess they're residents who still live here. But certainly this one, as you can see, catch a reflection of me in there as well. But you can't even see in there. Yeah, it's like, well, you see barely, but totally locked off. Can't get in. I have seen videos on YouTube of urban explorers getting in there, so I guess they must gain access from the bridge at the top of the residential area. Please, if anyone's watching this who lives here, let me know, what's it like to live in? Like, you know, is it modern inside? Has it been redeveloped inside? Has the interior been upgraded over the years? If you're watching this and you live, or if you've ever lived in this building, I want to know what it was like. So please, I'm so interested and fascinated, so please, if you're watching this, let me know in the comments. What was it like, or what is it like to live in this building and have annoying tourists like me come and take photos? So far there's a mix of people I see coming in and out, like old, young, families, so still a mix of generations and demographics live here, which is good to see, because, you know, I've seen and I've been to actually iconic brutalist buildings throughout Europe that have just been left in disrepair, and they've been abandoned and just left to the elements, and then they decay over time. Like when I was in Estonia a few years ago, I went to the famous Tallinna Hall, another massive famous brutalist building in Eastern Northern Europe, and that one in particular was opened for, I think it was the Moscow Olympics 1980, and that was recently used as a filming location in Tenet, Christopher Nolan's movie. And when I went there, you can get onto the top of it, but you cannot get into it, and that's just been abandoned for like 20 odd 30 years, I think. Not long after the purpose that it served for those Olympics, not long after that, it just became pretty much derelict and abandoned, I believe. And it's a shame, because although some might see structures like this as a blight on the landscape and a blight on the skyline, as I say, like, love it or loathe it, I think that brutalist architecture does have a place. And I think that, you know, whether you like it or not, it should be acknowledged as definitely a window into the past, when architectural styles like these were more common. But that does look like it's some kind of access point for anyone who's willing to brave an injury. I'm not entirely sure what fate awaits you if you try and climb in there. But as I say, maybe there is like an access point from the bridge that people can get through. I don't know, but I would imagine a building like this probably has security in it and motion sensors perhaps at the top. So yeah, if you're wanting to brave it while you're here, shoot me a link to your video, because I'm keen on seeing what's in the top. I see that there are a few shops here and beauty salons around the base of the residential block. It's just its own sort of little thriving community. Yeah, these circular structures, there's one here and there's two at the center. I'm just wondering maybe if they're like a stairwell, maybe like a fire exit, or if that's like the, no, I guess it might be the elevator shaft. Wonder why, you know, I look at this next tower and I just wonder why they've not redeveloped for anything, you know, why it's just been left derelict, seemingly empty and just left to ruin. And I wonder why no businesses or companies or organizations in Belgrade didn't buy it over and develop it into their headquarters or something like that, because it looks like it would be the perfect place to have your office. You know, being this road here adjacent to it being like one of the main highways into Belgrade, down to, you know, the old town of Belgrade. I guess that's why it's called Western Gate. But yeah, I guess that was would have been an opportunity to have your, you know, your premises here, your office here. I suppose that's why either side of this tower are draped in massive advertisements for products. So the building in the early 2020s was actually recognized as being of significant cultural importance to Belgrade and has been declared like a protected building, which means, I guess, they're never going to demolish it. They're never going to move the people out of the residential area and flatten it, which is a good thing, because, you know, whether you love it or not, you can't deny that it is iconic, and it's certainly not like any building I've seen. Bit of a better view into the entrance area of the office block side. I don't know if you can see in there, plants long dead. Some chairs, seating area. That just makes me really curious to explore the whole building. That'd be so cool. Well, there we have it. Belgrade's Western Gate. So, Belgrade's Western Gate didn't disappoint. So, the plan just now is we're going to head back through some of these blocks, down past the Sava Center, I think it is, big massive convention center, over the bridge to Starigrad, and we should get a nice view of Belgrade Fortress as we go over the bridge into the old town area. Okay, in my attempts to try and understand the numbering system of the blocks here in New Belgrade, I think I might have figured it out, but probably haven't. I've just passed block 33 and 34. Block 34 was that way, block 33 was that way, and just now we're literally passing block 1, block 3, and then further down we have block 30 from block 1. So no, I guess my attempts to understand the numbering system have failed miserably. Just passing some of the sort of shops and grocery stores for one of the blocks here. As I said, at least most of them I've passed so far seem to be fairly self-sufficient, fairly self-sustaining blocks, little sort of communities, you know. So far, the majority of them I've seen have been very active, very busy. I guess a high density of population, a local Belgrade population all live in New Belgrade area. I spoke to a few locals, actually all the locals I spoke to so far have lived in New Belgrade. None of them I think have lived in the Starigrad area, which I guess makes sense, being the tourist area. It's probably more expensive to live there. That's us back on track, heading, retracing our steps on the bus. We could easily have gotten the bus back to where we came from, but I prefer to walk. You get more of a feel for it if you're walking in it, just anywhere you are in the world. I think that you always get a better feel for a city when you're walking through it, regardless of the part of city it is, whether it's a tourist area or whether it's a local residential area. We've got the Kazakhstan flag there with the Serbian flag, so I'm just going to look this up and see who this chap was, because he was a Kazakh gentleman. Let's find out. So I just looked it up. This chap was called Jambil Jabayev, formerly president of Kazakhstan. Like, I seen a building up ahead. It might even be just another one of the blocks, but this one in particular looks very distinctive because it's got like red metal decoration around it. Seems to stand out from the rest. So that's the one that I spotted on the bus. And what makes it distinctive and stands out from the rest is that like red metal addition to the building. It continues on to the next one. Oh, we must be in a Red Star area. So this is block 12. That one next down there is block 13. I think that one's block 30 over there, which looks more in line with what I've seen so far. No, sorry, that's block 20. And we've got 21 next to it as well, just down here. So we've got 12 and 13. This all kind of looks like it's part of the same area. Maybe it was designed and built at the same time by the same architects, but it certainly makes it stand out. Maybe these are slightly more expensive places to stay. On the end of the building I actually see a bit of an advertisement for, I guess, what the apartments look like inside. Block 13. It does look more modern than I would have expected, just based on some of the blocks I've already seen. So yeah, maybe these blocks are newer. I think this might be the Palace of Serbia that we're passing just now. It certainly looks like a government building of some kind. I'm not sure if that says I love Serbia or I love Belgrade, or maybe something completely different. You can let me know. So I've seen these trucks going about Belgrade quite a lot. I've seen about 3 or 4 of them while I've been in the city, and I think that they might actually be full of water for people to come along and get some drinking water out of. I think that's what they are. I might be completely wrong about that, but I did see a couple of people yesterday in the Starigrad area going up to like a lorry like that and filling up their bottles with the water that came out of it. So maybe that's what they are. So if you've stuck with me this long, thank you for watching. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing Genex Tower up close and learning a wee bit more about it like I have. So if it's a place that interests you and you're coming to Belgrade, hop on the number 65 bus. 10-minute journey, you'll save yourself an hour walk. But the good news is you'll be able to enjoy the slow hour walk back and enjoy more of New Belgrade scenery, particularly if it's a sunny day like it is today.